Hello, everyone. Welcome to 10 Forward NB Geeks. Let's talk. And we're going to talk something positive. Last week, we talked Quark's Bar. We talked about our issues with Masters of the Universe. But you know what? Today, we're going to talk about something a little more positive, a little more hopeful. We're going to talk about Ghostbusters, Afterlife, the trailer, our thoughts on how it's going to connect to Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, and how this movie is actually, strangely enough, I apologize for the cough, getting people to be interested in the first two Ghostbusters movies. But before we get into that, I need to introduce my talented co host, as I always like to introduce him as the man who makes Twitter trolls cry and mops the floors with their tears, Jack Bears.
I was just doing that right now. Before we got on, I guess Star Trek, Alex Kurtzman's contract got renewed, and so
Yeah.
like there's people out there like ha ha ha, and I remind them that before it was rebranded to Paramount Plus, CBS All Access only had about 8 million subscribers, compared to Disney Plus, which had about 90 million subscribers by the same time.
Well, Disney Plus planned ahead versus Paramount.
Yes, they did.
But,
Yes, they did.
but that's a story for another time.
Oh yeah, there's definitely that.
Yeah.
All that Scarlett Johansson stuff too.
Oh, yeah. Are you hearing an echo, or is that coming from me?
I'm not hearing an echo on my side.
Feel like I'm hearing an echo. If anybody in the chat, if you're there, you hear an echo, let us know, just to be sure. Okay, doesn't sound like it's there anymore. Okay, cool beans. So, I had seen the first Ghostbusters Afterlife teaser trailer, back when it first came out, and I was like, okay, looks good. It was a teaser trailer. That's the
Right.
whole point. It's supposed to water your mouth for something.
Right.
This trailer did everything that the Ghostbusters 2016 trailer did wrong.
I agree. So regarding Ghostbusters 2016, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, they're making they're rebooting Ghostbusters. And then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, jeez. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between what that trailer made me feel and how this trailer makes me feel.
When I watched the trailer, and I've never watched the movie, and I'm never going to, because I have no reason to. I'm
Right.
not going to do it I'm not going to go, I can't be like one of these guys. I can't review a fucking movie. Tim Talks, how you doing, buddy? If you want to come in, you're welcome to come in and join. We're going to talk about the Ghostbusters trailer and talk about the past Ghostbusters, including the debacle that was 2016. And let me see if I can post my link in here. Here we go. Haven't figured out how to pin those yet. But, when I saw that 2016 trailer, okay, let me tell you something. First time I ever saw Ghostbusters, the first Ghostbusters, I shit you not, was on a TV my parents bought me for Christmas. And it was black and white.
Oh, so you first watched in black and white?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I first saw that, the dog thing go through, I about fucking flipped. You got to remember, I was like 6, 7 years old. I'm freaking out of this goddamn thing. I'm not getting the humor, I'm seeing the horror.
Right.
And I literally was freaked out by Ghostbusters the first time I saw it.
Hmm.
I
You know,
mean,
yeah, because there were, you know, like because the original one was like a horror comedy horror, something like that. It's like a mix of those two, which I thought the way they wrote it, like they mixed both of them in perfectly.
yes, they do. And as an adult now, I get that and I get the beauty behind it. But, try and figure this out. Take it from a kid who's watched classic horror movies in black and white. I mean, I could name off a plethora of movies, or people could name off, and I could tell you if I saw them in black and white uh, when they were first done. I can tell you Frankenstein, Dracula, Mummy, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, you name it, I've seen it in black and white. One of my personal favorites, them. When I first saw Ghostbusters, I saw it on this black and white TV that I had been given for Christmas on basic TV. Now, mind you, for those of you who don't know, this is a black and white TV with the rabbit ears and the little click, 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 and if you don't know what that is, just go look it up. Because I'm not going to sit here and explain it to you. But yeah, the first time I saw Ghostbusters, the original, was in black and white. And it was literally like something I remembered. I clicked on the channel. I was going through, trying to find the channels that were in the area. And literally, the first time I see Ghostbusters is when the freaking beast dog jumps through the room trying to look for Rick Moranis.
Uh huh.
That is my first scene. Is literally just that jump in the dog.
Right.
About an animation of that dog chasing after me, and I have no goddamn clue what's going on. I'm like, what I just see.
Right.
And I'm watching it in black and white, and I'm still like,
You know, the first time I saw Ghostbusters, my first introduction to Ghostbusters was actually the cartoon. The Ghostbusters cart, not the filmation one that had nothing to do with the Ghostbusters, but the actual real Ghostbusters cartoon.
Oh, hold on.
Where Slimer is like, he acts more like the Ghostbusters, like pet ghost.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, that's where I was. That's the one I was first introduced to, and then I heard there was a live action movie, and I was, you know, as a naive little kid, I was thinking when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, they got people to look just like the cartoons.
Yeah, exactly.
They got people to look and sound just like the cartoons. They got Egon on perfect. Man, that really looks like Egon.
No, the funny thing is, well, I have it somewhere in here. I actually have all of the Ghostbusters series, not the Filmation one, but the real Ghostbusters.
Right.
I was going to show it to you, but
oh yeah, I have an Egon. I forgot to pull out. I have a little Egon figure.
yes. Oh, hold on a second. The real Ghostbusters was a really great animated. Yes.
Yes, it was. And
actually, what I think is so funny is I think a lot of people forget this, that in the TV show or the cartoon series, they actually talked. There's an episode that deals with the movie script. And there's a part where you hear Bill Murray's character going, I want you, and he goes, I want the opening scene where Bill Murray shows up as, as the character,
also,
and he goes, that guy doesn't look a thing like me. it's just so goddamn funny.
Right. Yeah, they had really, like they really got the characters down. Like I really liked Slimer. I remember really liking Slimer. And then when I saw him in the movie, I realized, oh, Slimer's a bad guy in this.
I don't know. I'll tell you what. One of the things I really loved was when Rick Moranis' character shows up in Ghostbusters 2,
Hmm.
and he's getting on that bus, and it's Slimer driving, and he goes, "Okay, but I didn't know you had your driver's license."
I remember,
I,
yeah, that was
yeah,
funny. That was
it's
funny.
just so goddamn hilarious the amount of beautiful humor they had.
Oh yeah, no, it was you know, and also like I mean Bill Murray, Peter Venkman, like I think he was like the center of a lot of that comedy. Especially when they were doing the when he's investigating the house. He walks in the house and he starts tapping on the piano keys and he's like, they hate when they do this.
Yeah, he comes off as really funny, really engaging, and they get kicked out of I mean, so let's look at it this way. Let's try to get back on topic here because I know we've gotten a little off of it. Um, so Afterlife. So this is Egon's
Grandchild,
child,
I think it's Egon's
child
grandchildren.
and
Yes,
grandchild, right?
right.
Child and grandchild. So um, obviously he had children. He got married at some point. I would assume it was not Janine.
No, no, I don't think so either.
No,
Um,
because by the second movie, they kind of, yes, she had that crush on him, but I think she moved more towards,
Tully.
you know, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
She,
in
kind
fact,
of,
they get together at the end of that movie. I think.
I think so too. And but she would still have, maybe a relationship with him,
Sure.
friendship, something that developed.
Yeah.
So, but maybe, the way we're thinking about it is he didn't maybe talk. They don't seem to know what his legacy was. Maybe he kept that personal. He didn't talk about it to his family. I
Well,
mean, I'm sure his
I'm gonna
wife
be
probably knew.
like I have a feeling that because I did the math, and I think somebody else on Midnight's Edge did the math, and they said that in order for Egon to have grandchildren, teenage grandchildren now, he would have had children or been married before the events of the original Ghostbusters. So
It's
it's
not necessarily true. Now, and I say that's not necessarily true because you need to understand. Um, my parents had me when I was 18. I had my daughter when I was 21, and she had my grandchild at 20.
right.
This is not so
But
no, it's
but
not beyond the realm of possibility.
I mean like teenage grandchildren. Like the grandchildren are teenagers in this movie.
Well, you gotta go back to remember his age too back then.
So
You gotta go back to the time
how
frame of this. It
how
was
how old
1980.
how old was he in 1984? I'm going to assume he was probably the same age his real life actor person is. Harold Ramis was.
I assumed he was in his late 20s.
Okay, so it's
Well, they were all doctor. Well, they were mostly all doctors, so late 20s, early 30s. If we're going by doctorate standards.
okay. So it is possible that like before all of this stuff happened, Egon had a family, and then I'm assuming maybe because he wasn't at like because of his job perspectives and stuff like that because all of that they probably divorced or he was just too into his spores or something and then he probably never said anything about it to anybody. That's probably why he also brushed off Janine's advances because he was probably like, no,
See,
I've already been there, don't want to do that anymore.
you see, that's where I disagree. I don't think that at the time And he reminds me of certain family members I have, and I'm about to sneeze, so I'm sorry when it happens.
Okay.
Shit.
Bless you.
Here.
Bless
um,
you.
I think that most likely Egon had children after the events, and he got married, settled down after the events of Ghostbusters 2. That's what I think. These are young teenagers, and you got to remember, we're talking about from 1984 to now 2020, when this, or 2019, whenever this movie was originally slated. So, yes, that is a long time. That is plenty of time for him to have children and still have grandchildren and then be about the teenage range. The math does seem to add up as far as I can tell based on that.
Right. And then
But I like what somebody said is maybe they did like they did in the second movie. After they took out Vigor, they busted themselves out of business. There wasn't anything left. They shut things down. I mean, it happened in the first. It happened in the second movie.
right. And then sometime between Ghostbusters 2 and Egon's death, which I'm assuming is probably the same time Harold Ramis died, um, he apparently moved out of New York, moved into like this little town in the middle of, I'm not sure where it's at, but just little town in the middle of nowhere, and brought all of his ghost busting equipment there too, and like kind of looks like he hid it all in like a barn or something like that.
Well, actually, and I was just on another channel. I was on Captain Truck's channel, and before I got up here, or sorry, I was on Vile Mike's channel. Vile Mike was going on, and I was trying to remember because we were talking about this trailer earlier in the week, and one of the things someone brought up was, wouldn't it be interesting if that house we see is the house Ray had that his parents left him? Wouldn't that be a
Oh
nice thing? Wouldn't
yeah, and
that
then
be a nice? And when he and I can tell you because I was asking who said it, and it's this guy Chris Knight. He's a very successful YouTuber, and he said, wouldn't that be a great reference? And I thought, he made the point of saying maybe, with the three mortgages and everything, maybe Egon bought Ray's house from him and bought all the mortgage and debt, and that's where he put everything, and that's why it's in that town. That would be
right
a very interesting Easter egg to tie into it, which would just take a very simple dialogue.
now now the other thing I was thinking was if he put all if that's where he hid all of his ghost busting stuff, is it possible because they needed that huge containment field to keep the ghosts in? Is it possible that he moved that containment field maybe underground in this town, and
Would
maybe
it
that's
not be?
why? Hmm?
That's why maybe the lights don't work so well.
And there's
It's
earthquakes
so
going on.
much power is staying to keep the containment field. Yes, I think that is absolutely a possibility. You got to remember, he had enough sense to put that containment field in.
Yeah,
If anybody's going to successfully move it and store it, it's
it
going
would
to
be
be
him.
Egon.
Yeah,
It's going to
and
be
maybe now that he's dead, and he's now that he's dead, nobody's maintained it, and now it's starting to, maybe there's like cracks in it or something like that ghosts are starting to get out. Eventually they fight that. It's not Slimer, it's Muncher. Is the name is Muncher, but it's the
yeah,
same. It's the same type of ghost, and so you know, I'm not exactly sure like how that works. Like, is there like a species is there like different species of ghosts?
Oh, we don't know. But
Yeah.
think about this too. I was going to say, one of the things that got brought up, and listen to these thoughts, was that maybe the reason why he took everything out there was he was putting a plan together, and unfortunately passed away before he could complete it.
That's yeah. He could have been he could
And
have been
maybe they will find that he has notes and stuff, and just he wasn't able to finish his task.
right. That's
Now,
possible.
I do like the ending, and it was so funny because my wife saw the trailer before I did, and
Uh-huh.
she was enjoying it, and she hasn't seen the other two Ghostbusters movies. I told her to go buy them on Amazon so she can watch them. But that's the beauty of it, is this trailer's now inspiring people to go want to watch the classics.
Right.
You know, not
I,
that not that 2016 trash that nobody cares about.
right.
No matter
Exactly.
how much no matter how much they want to market that as being progressive. No, this fucking movie is progressive. And then you see people on Twitter being like, oh, you guys caved in and gave the fans what they wanted. Uh,
Oh no.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're the
that's
ones who are
exactly.
going to we're the ones who are going to do the, pay
Why
the
do you
money.
why do you think all those Avenger movies were so successful? It's because they gave the fans what they wanted, and
Well,
that's
it's
what
like the
that's what
I
Ghostbusters.
was
I think that's what they're gonna do. Like that's what they should have did in 2016.
yeah, exactly. Look, if you wanted to make an all-female cast, fine, but you made a trailer that was just garbage.
And I did see the movie, and it wasn't funny.
Well, it was like, I saw no humor, I saw no enjoyment, and I mean that one chick who was supposed to be, the black representative, and I mean they turned the car into a hearse. I'm
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of I don't like. I don't. There's a lot of stuff they did in there that I didn't like. There's a scene where I know you didn't see it, so I'll just explain it briefly. But there's a scene where they're looking for a headquarters, and they go to the firehouse in New York, the firehouse, right? And they're like, "Oh, this is perfect. How much is it going to cost?" And they give like a ridiculous amount that they nobody can afford, right? Like $500,000 a month or something like that. And so they're like, "Oh, never mind," and they leave and they go find another headquarters. Like I don't. The way they did it felt really disrespectful. So
well, I heard
and
everything they
it
did
wasn't really
about it.
funny. It wasn't funny at all.
Well, what I heard they did almost everything was disrespectful to the original.
Yeah.
Is
In fact,
nothing was funny. It seemed like a ripoff. Now, that's what the trailer showed me. That's why I never watched it, because the trailer just looked like it looked like one of those parodies from the 90s where it's like we want to make fun of shit. And that's
yes,
what it looked like to me.
yes.
It looked to me when
That's true. You're right. It felt like one of those. It felt like a scare, like one of those like scary movie, superhero
yes.
movies, but not as funny. Like just four people doing their own thing, kind of based on a couple of things, but really doing their own thing. But it just turns out to be trash.
And here you go. You get this movie, or you get this trailer. We're cautiously optimistic. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you get some goodwill. You got the kid from Stranger Things who's also been in It.
Right.
Very successful. Two very successful things. You bring in Paul Rudd, good comedian. You
Hmm.
set it up. Um, they show the kids watching in the second trailer, watching the ads they had on YouTube, and it's like,
I thought that was
okay,
kind of cool.
this is completely believable. We've
Hmm.
all looked up, just for nostalgia purposes,
Old
looked up
ass shit on YouTube.
ads
Yeah.
just for fucking fun.
And
Just for
if you learned that one of your relatives was some sort of hero in the 80s, wouldn't you want to look that up too? Yeah.
exactly. It's like, what are they got? And they're looking it up, and it's like, okay, because it seems like to me he probably passed away. I don't know if they're going to say he passed away recently or over, when he actually died. They've kind of kept that under wraps.
Yeah.
But I like how they brought Janine in on this, and Janine's kind of, just being kind of a more mature Janine.
Right.
She feels like she's remembered the role. It's like, okay, this is a different situation. She was a good friend of his. They kept in touch long after. I could believe all that. But what I was saying was maybe he, as a scientist, he always seemed to be the type to move forward to the next thing. So
Mm.
maybe he didn't really talk about this with his kids in his ghostbusting days because that was in the past and he always wanted to maybe move forward. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
Just
possible.
it just seems
I
like
mean,
he
after I feel like because after the first movie, they say they got sued by like every agency in New York. After taking the Statue of Liberty and doing what they did with it, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more lawsuits after that.
yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, some people I heard are a little unhappy about this might be Gozer coming back. Actually, I don't see the problem here. I think that if you're going to go with a baddie and you're going to go classic, maybe bring back Gozer.
I'm
Maybe
I'm fine. I'm fine with it as long as they do it right. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is what maybe, and we're approaching 30 minutes. I don't want to keep this too long because I got to get a couple other things done. But I think what I'm really concerned about is we're gonna get two really good acts, but the third act is going to be what's going to make or break this movie.
Yeah, I saw some toys that they're going to be coming out with, which kind of spoiled it a little bit. But the older surviving Ghostbusters in their full get Ghostbusting get up. I feel like they're going to come back at the end, man.
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I was talking when I went to the retro store and picked up. You saw my Ecto one and my
Yeah,
Animal. Yeah, dude, I just broke down. I had to grab them both.
I don't blame you. I
I,
would have
I
done the same thing.
I just felt like there was not a chance they would both be there again. So I figured, fuck it, grab them both. And here's the other thing. This is off topic, but I looked up the company. The company has Kit and Car from Knight Rider.
Ooh, nice.
So I think once September comes, because I've already spent my allowance, that's next on my list. Kit and Car.
That sounds good.
Also, they have the other two. They possibly have the other two Batmobiles I want.
Okay.
The the animated series one and the one from the Tim Burton era. So
Yeah,
only two other Batmobiles I want.
I got those two, and I got the 1960s one, and I got the Ben Affleck Batmobile. They're smaller though, and they come with the little mini Batman, little die-cast Batman from each era. So that's why I bought them. I really wanted the Batman, but I also wanted like the Tim Burton Batmobile, and I wanted the animated series Batmobile, and I wanted the 1960s Batmobile. Ben Affleck's Batmobile, it's actually not that good. It's not even die-cast.
Green Beret, hey man, have a good one. Yeah, I think we're looking at a good movie. I think
Me
we're
too.
looking at I think we're looking at something that it's gonna entice. And this is what I'm saying. When my wife watched it, the trailer, and is like, I want to watch the original movies. Means this has something to entice people, old and new, who've
I think
never
so.
seen it.
I
And
think
I
so.
think that, and there's so many times, I introduced my wife to a lot of movies that, us as geeks, we've all seen, but she hasn't. Like, for example, I introduced her to Alien and Aliens,
Hmm.
and we did it back to back. And she agreed Aliens was the superior movie, but she agreed they were both fantastic movies.
Little side note: when I was finishing Ghostbusters 2 yesterday, and my roommate came out and he like had a smoke with me, and he watched a little bit of it. And he was like, either he's never seen these movies before, or he hadn't seen them in a while. But he was like, hey, that looks like the lady from Aliens. I'm like, that is the lady from Aliens,
Lady from
Sigourney
Alien.
Weaver. Yeah.
And she was a strong woman even in that movies.
Oh, yes,
Even
she
in
was.
those two movies, she was a strong woman.
Yes.
She was not Ripley, but she was still a strong woman.
Yes. Um,
Because she stood toe to toe with Bill Murray and would not give him any slack.
no, she wouldn't. No, she wouldn't. Which, by the second movie, she had kind of already like, she kind of knew his ways already, so she was kind of like, batting.
I'm
At first,
done.
she started batting it away, and then she started giving into the advances.
I do like how he, there are certain things that Bill Murray just ate up everything in that second movie. He's like,
Yes.
especially when he was with Oscar.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah. He
"You're named after a hot dog, you poor man." Oh, okay, I need to put him down. Did I put him down? You're short, you're ugly, and you're an embarrassment.
you're a burden to your mother or something like that. Yeah. And the baby's just like, "Ooh, I'm a baby. I don't know what you're saying."
But it was always so humorous with the way Bill Murray did that. I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, the way he interacted with the baby, I mean,
He's like,
hindsight,
I could have been your father.
yeah, I should have been your father, but his interaction and his mannerism and everything, and it was very, very good. I think it was one of his best comedy skits,
Oh,
which is
definitely.
doing that with a baby.
I mean, I love. By the way, I went back and I kind of did some pace timing. The original Ghostbusters has some of the best pacing I've seen. That original scene with the in the library with the lady and the
Yeah.
ghost. That's the first 2 minutes. By the 5 minute scene, we've already met like all the Ghostbusters, and by the 30 minute scene, they've already put together their business and they're hunting Slimer.
We came, we saw, we
We
kicked
kicked
his
its
ass.
ass. That was
Uh,
I'm so glad they came with that. Like I know Bill Murray just came up with an ad lib. I am glad they kept it.
well, that was the thing about this. And also, think about this. This movie was PG. They talk about
True.
Gremlins being PG. This movie had literally Dan Aykroyd getting a head from a fucking ghost
Yes,
in a dream.
yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Yeah, they were smoking. Yes, sir. This man has the. Well, that's what I was told. Human sacrifices.
Dogs and
God,
cats
the
living
dead
together.
rising for the great. Human sacrifices. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. And then there's the line that comes after that I love. So what if you're wrong? What if we're wrong? We go to jail peacefully, quietly. We enjoy it. But if I'm right, and we can save them, Lenny, you have saved the lives of
Plenty of
millions
registered
of
voters.
registered voters.
In the second movie, they do a similar thing where, like at the end, like the
Yeah.
mayor goes with him because of something Bill Murray said. One of the things that made me crack the hell up in the second movie, especially now because of what's happened recently with the He-Man stuff, but in the
Oh
beginning,
yeah,
they go to like
that
this
would
little
be
kids
He-Man.
party,
I remember.
and the mother's like, "Hey kids, guess who's here? It's a Ghostbusters!" And the two of them come out there and they're trying to be all playful and stuff, and the kid's like, "Oh, I thought it was gonna be He-Man."
Yeah. Who
And
you gonna call? He-Man. He-Man.
the kids started chanting He-Man like with the song. It was great, dude. It was just great. It felt like those kids got bait and switched. They were expecting He-Man and got the Ghostbusters.
Oh, could you imagine if those kids were? Could you imagine those grown-up kids now watching He-Man Revelations?
Oh man,
Woo!
yeah. Whew.
No.
I mean, like, yeah, like you go to watch He-Man and you come to for Tila or whatever, or you get Tila, which would have been fine if they made her likable.
Oh,
I know.
I was
I do
thinking
notice Kevin Smith finally tweeted today. He finally, but it had nothing to do with He-Man. It was he was talking about he's going to be 51 tomorrow, and it's like the 30th anniversary of him watching Slackers, which made him want to become a director in the first place. So I mean, like it was nothing like no He-Man stuff, but he finally, for 4 days, he didn't say shit. He didn't tweet nothing. He was trying to blow that over. He was trying to.
Oh yeah, I watched this shit on YouTube where he tried to half-ass apologize to Clownfish.
No, he made it worse. That whole thing made it worse because
I know it did.
Then he starts talking about how Netflix doesn't care how angry anyone gets because they got 200 something million subscribers. So it's like, okay. And then he says, if you don't like it, just don't say anything.
Let me put it this way, Jack. Let's think about this. Why don't you go to Netflix right now, see what's in the top 10 after
Not He-Man.
Not He-Man. You think Netflix don't pay attention to that shit? Let's be honest. People were like, oh, it's top 6 here in the UK. I was like, great. It's top 8 here in the United States. 4 out of 5 of the Twilight movies are trending too. So what does that tell you?
Right, they were trying to say they were trying to excuse the bad ratings from Discovery last year by saying, oh, but everyone's already seen those movies. But then how come Twilight is one of the top 10 movies in Netflix? It's like a 10-year-old movie.
Oh, not only that, Revelations never cracked the top 5. Never.
Right. Yeah.
It got to 6. And I know because I fucking was watching it in America. If it ever got to 5, it didn't stay there very long. Because that motherfucker, 2 weeks later, is gone. It's gone.
Yeah, I think he really messed up when he promised everyone that it was going to be good and it wasn't good. He does that though. He makes promises he can't keep. Like when he promised my kid he was going to take her to the back to see Clerks 3 being filmed, and then that never happened because he didn't know he didn't understand COVID union guidelines.
Well, let's put it this way. This is what I think about Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think this is going to be the movie that is going to be the Cobra Kai of movies. This is going to be the movie. I'm going to go out there and say, I think this is going to be a movie that we are going to say, this is how you keep a fucking franchise going, you dumb shits. Just like Cobra Kai did with the Karate Kid. I think, based on the 2 trailers, I think this is the movie to do it. I think the movie finally going to maybe get Hollywood's head out of their ass and realize we are paying you money to be entertained. We're not interested in your woke ass bullshit. Your message is put them in your indie films. Leave the rest of us alone. Otherwise, you're fucked. You're already fucked because you're only got now because of COVID and the movie theaters being shut down. Now we're really starting to get. We used to be willing to go out and see a movie. Then we started getting picky. Now we're really picky. Now we're like they're begging you to come back to. Now's a good time to come back to the theater. Now's a good time to come back to cinema because COVID's over. Get your vaccine. You're like. And
once they put a movie that I want to see up in the theaters, then I'll show up at a theater. But so far, they haven't put anything up that I'm willing to watch.
Exactly, and that's where I'm sitting there saying, "And what do you have to offer?"
So now I will go to a theater to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes.
One of the things that I think is promising is that the original director, I think his name's Ivan Reitman, approves of the story, and his son Jason Reitman, I think is the name, is directing it or directed it. So that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things though is, like I said, it looks like I said, when it comes to Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai to the Karate Kid,
Hmm.
this looks like this is going to be a movie that's really going to be able to continue a story and honor the past.
I
And I
hope so.
think, the based on this trailer, and they're just giving us enough, because this is a thing, and I think Jack, you and I have talked about this before. They get sometimes give way too much away in the trailer, and that's
Sometimes
why it turns us on or turns us off.
Kevin Smith gave away way too much information from Revelations. Remember, I said I went from uh,
Yep.
cautiously optimistic to optimistic. That optimism went right back to cautiously optimistic as soon as I heard about what they were going to do with Orko.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but one of the things though we need to look at is with this is, I know a lot of people are looking forward to Dune. I get that. Here's the thing. I didn't like the book. Never cared for the book. Not a big fan of the two movies. And by the two movies, I mean the one that had Patrick Stewart and the one that was on the Sci Fi channel back when Sci Fi was not SYFY.
I
You'd
saw
have to go way
I
back.
saw the Patrick Stewart one long time ago. I wasn't really into it, to be honest. It's the same thing. Um,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
like,
not.
I mean, if people like it, that's fine, But it didn't really resonate with me.
No, and I understand that. And I think that maybe it's a niche, or maybe it's something that just is very universally loved and just not me. And I'm fine with that. Just like you, Jack. We don't always, we can't always get along, and that's the thing. I was listening. I put up something earlier on that I posted, and I was talking about He-Man Revelations, and this person said, "I agree with most," but he said he disagreed with certain areas, and I liked it. I
It's fine.
haven't responded back, but I'm thinking, good,
Yeah.
absolutely, please
If
don't ever, the
yeah,
last thing, the worst thing I want is to ever have anybody 100% agree with me,
like
because that's
if somebody likes Revelations, that's fine. I mean, and they, I'm not going to be like, oh, they're not fans of him. I don't care. Like it's whatever you want, but like with the, I think where they messed up with the He-Man thing was the marketing. They were dishonest in the marketing. Um, Whereas I'm hoping to God that that's not what's going on with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm really hoping. You know how Geeky Sparkle says, "Please don't suck. Please don't." I'm with her on that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think the backlash from Ghostbusters 2016 was so bad, so prevalent
And the
that,
response to it was terrible too when they started calling people who didn't like it sexist, and they went through this marketing campaign. My
yeah,
my
I
roommate
remember.
my roommate actually believed that the reason why they didn't make another Ghostbusters 2016 type of movie was because of the racist and sexist. And I was like, that is not why. The reason why they're not making a sequel is because that movie lost $70 million at the box office. They're not going to make a sequel to something that lost that much money. You know what I mean?
You can sit here and call racist, sexist, whatever. It's total bullshit.
It
What
is.
it comes down to is, what it comes down to is very simply, and we've known that since we were kids, before the internet, Jack,
Hmm.
was that you see a trailer. The trailer is what gets you deciding if you're going to want to go see the movie,
Yes.
because we didn't get those reviews ahead of time. They weren't available to us. So we had to go off of a trailer.
Yes.
Then we would have people who would go see the movie. If we didn't, we would go ask them what they thought. Not ask
Yes.
for spoilers. We'd ask them what they thought. That was word of mouth. That is how a movie got good reviews in a pre-internet era, pre-post era. It was word of mouth. We had to be told by other people who went and saw the movie first if this was going to be worth our time.
Right.
And it
And
wasn't
if a movie failed, the studio never blamed the audience.
Well, think about this too. Is it was always the same? It wasn't always the same people who saw the movie. It was, depending on the movie, depending on who went and saw the movie first, and everybody kind of held back and waited to see what the people who were the fans of this type of movie, what they said. Because if they liked it, they figured they'd like it. If they
Exactly.
came back and didn't like it, these people are thinking, if the fans don't like it, the fans, you get where I'm going there?
Right.
And it wasn't, they didn't say, well, you didn't understand this, you didn't understand.
Right.
No, you went to the fans of that genre and said, do you think this movie's worth our time?
Right.
That was how it was back then.
And this trope of blaming the audience for a failure, it's continuing. Like when Space Jam kind of bombed, this new Space Jam bombed, LeBron James blamed it on racism, and it's like, how can it be racism when the movie that came before yours was a complete success and it also had a black actor? Like, I don't get that.
No, it had. No, here's the difference between whatever that Space Jam movie, which I didn't even know about, the LeBron James. I knew it would flop. You know why? LeBron James is a basketball player.
Right.
Michael Jordan is a legend.
Yeah, Michael Jordan definitely.
And a gentleman.
Yes, he is. I think so too. Michael Jordan is like the least controversial person ever, I think.
Michael Jordan said it best. Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yes, that's true.
Or I'm sorry, I think it was Republicans buy Jordans too. He knew enough sense to realize. Now, is Michael Jordan a Democrat? Probably. Is he a liberal? Probably. Does he donate? Probably. But what he doesn't do is go out there and tell you what to do.
Right.
Because when you go out there and do that shit, you alienate a portion of your fan base. Because you can't sit there and say, oh, well, don't be a fan. Because if you say, well, if you're this point of view, don't be a fan of mine. It's like, okay, we'll drop you like a bad fucking habit.
That's happened. That's happened in a few cases, and I think that's bad. What do you call it? Business. I think that's bad business
too.
Yeah, well, I know. Like,
and that was the whole thing. This is one of the failures with 2016. Was the trailer was bad. The movie, from everybody I've ever talked to, said it was bad. It was worse than the trailer. And the whole thing was they were trying to shame people. The advertisement campaign went to shaming you because you didn't go see this movie.
And it continued into Star Trek Discovery. It continued into Star Wars. Anytime that there was a movie that bombed or had a lot of criticism, they would try to switch the conversation to racism and bigotry, while you're trying to talk about story elements and character development. You know what I mean?
Well, let's think about this. Comedy. Comedy is very... If I'm going to say anything about any genre, and this is coming from someone who spent a lot of time reviewing very many areas of genre, comedy is the hardest to harness.
I think so.
Because comedy is one... Okay, action is one thing, sci-fi, there are certain tropes, but comedy is so... almost niche in its own way. You got to look at the Three Stooges. Look at Abbott and Costello. Look at it, Laurel and Hardy. Look at those three very different types of comedy they did.
Mm-hmm.
Now go to Mel Brooks. Go to some of the other classics. Chevy Chase movies, things like that. Some of the greatest comedies. They Comedy is such a niche that when you can blend that comedy in, that it makes almost all universally laugh and enjoy. You've done something special that
Yeah.
is very hard to do. And I know you went to filmmaking school, so if I'm off my mark, buddy, Jack, you let me know.
No, you're right. I mean, it's not just hard to do, but if you're not inclined to be funny, like you don't really, you're not really cut out to make comedy material. You know what I mean? You have to know. You have to know where the line is. That's the most important part of it. You have to know where that line is between funny and offensive. And sometimes that you don't know where that line is. You know what I mean? Especially
No,
back when Mel Brooks, and back when the Three Stooges were doing their own thing. Every so often, Charlie Chaplin would do something that was, that nowadays people would find offensive. But because of it was at that time it was very well accepted or whatever. So they got away with it. I always say that there'd be no way you could recreate Blazing Saddles today because of
not a fucking shot in hell.
yeah, no shot, because of the content in it. You know what I mean? A lot of it is feels borderline racist to a lot of people, and
I'm
so
gonna say this also. I'm gonna add this to that.
Mhm.
Not just because of the content, because you could not recast those two main characters.
Yes, you're right about that too. They
You,
yeah.
the chemistry was. I mean, I'm going to say this. One of my favorite things, and this is a little different from Lacey's house, but the two people I thought had the best comedy chemistry was Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. I
Right.
absolutely loved their synergy. They were comedy fucking gold. And almost nothing they made back then could even remotely be made now. Well,
Yeah.
let's
You
take
know, whose stuff could probably be, they could probably do another movie nowadays if they wanted to, is probably Cheech and Chong. Their stuff like back then was made to be offensive, but now it's not offensive at all type of thing. I love it. It's like the juxtaposition.
well, think about oh damn, I lost my train of thought there.
Sorry.
Think about no, you're fine. Well, think about this. When we were talking about Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters is rated PG.
Yes.
There's no way that movie would pass PG censors now.
Nowadays, no. It would probably be PG-13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, it would be R, and I'm going to tell you why it would be R.
Okay.
Because of the smoking, the constant smoking.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of
would've gave
smoking.
it the R
So
rating.
they find
would
that
now give it the
that's
R rating.
yeah, maybe you're right. Like, yeah, man, that's too bad. But yeah, so like suddenly all those kids who wouldn't be able to watch the movie because a couple people smoked and somebody said that somebody else had no dick.
Well, I don't think and if anybody in the chat knows, you can correct us. I don't think they ever dropped the F bomb.
No, there's no F
They
bombs in it.
dropped everything else.
I think there's some shit in there, but I don't think there's no F bombs.
Oh, one of my personal favorite. Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good one. They had some good lines, real good lines.
Right.
But the '80s had the best one-liners. The '80s had just the best one-liners, and some of the '90s.
No, the best line went to him though.
It does.
Right. When someone asks you if you're a god,
God,
you
say yes.
Yes. That was the best line of the movie, right there, hands down. Just the best. What?
Like
Just
it
the
was,
best.
so funny because like in my when I when I watched it, when they were like, "Are you a god?" Like in my head, I was like, say yes, you'll trick her," or something like that, right? And he says no, and she's like, dies. Like, I told you, and then he like confirms it. Next time you say yes. I wanted to give him a high five after that.
I love after the whole interview with Janine, and he's just like, if there's steady paycheck involved, I believe whatever
I
you
believe
want.
whatever you want. Yeah,
Yeah. He's like, I just want a fucking job.
yeah. And boy, did he get a job. Like
Yeah.
I remember like when I in the second one when he's on the subway platform, and or he's on the tracks, and that ghost train comes and goes right through him, and he's looking like his life is flashing between his eye, before his eyes. You know what I mean? And like afterwards, he's like,
Sorry, I missed it.
like I always made it. I always made dialogue up in my head. It was like, hey, maybe this paycheck ain't so good.
I just like, did you get the license plate? Sorry,
I
I
missed it.
missed it.
He looks
It's
so.
so
He,
good.
I love his face. He just looks like
Yeah,
he's about to turn white, like he said in the other movie.
I have
He had
seen
seen shit
shit
that would
that
turn
will
him
turn
white.
you white.
Yeah, that was
Everybody
that
getting
was a
all
good
naked.
line too. That was a good line as well.
Well, what about when they're laying everything out? Your girlfriend is right on the top. A spook says, she's not my girlfriend. I'm interested in because she sleeps above her covers. 4 feet
4 feet
above
above
her
her covers.
corners. She's strapped. She bites. Bill Murray just, oh my God. He
Wonderful
just,
performance.
he was
Both
having
movies.
so much fun. I think they were all just having so much fun with that movie.
Yeah, I hope he brings back that same like energy he did like when if if he comes back in the next moon. I'm pretty sure he will because we saw the toy line.
Well, actually, that was interesting. When I went to the retro store and when I grabbed the stuff you saw the other day on YouTube, they had told me that there's a new line coming out, and they're doing all the Ghostbusters as aged, and they're
Right.
also doing the kids and stuff. And I thought, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a great way to show homage. I mean,
Well,
this is a toy line. I think
it seems
I
like
think this is a
it
toy
seems like
line
it's
that will
one.
work.
It seems like it's one of those movies where the kids, they discover all this stuff, and they kind of try to maintain this, they try to like keep the situation under control, but it just becomes bigger and bigger, so finally they have to call in the real Ghostbusters, and then they all work together to fix the problem. I think that's where it's going to go.
Well, I think that's where the third act would be.
Yeah.
Um, like I was saying, when they saw the number, they called the number. It was the red phone from hey PCAT, how you doing, buddy? Great for you to come
Hi,
in.
PCAT.
And he goes, we hear we're closed. I was like, was that
Dan
Dan
Aykroyd's voice.
Aykroyd?
That was Dan
Yes,
Aykroyd was like,
yes.
yes, yes, we are going to get some real Ghostbusters in this too. That's going to be great.
No, I like that because it was like it's all of a sudden it was like the red phone. I'm like, I know that phone. Recognize
I
the
know.
phone. The
I
other
like the
people we were
the
talking
background.
about.
The background also looked like that store that he had in the second movie.
And it was just we're closed. And I was like, I know Dan Aykroyd's voice. I'm like, that's Dan Aykroyd. I'm like, Dan Aykroyd, Dan Aykroyd. I'm like, oh. And that was
I
when
loved
I
how
was
they
like,
I loved how they teased it.
yes.
It was done well. That's how you do a teaser, by the way. Not like how Kevin Smith did it.
PCAT. Uh Bill Murray have more than a small cameo in the movie or a decent of I honestly, I
I feel
think
like
that
I feel like he'll be in the third act, and
I
he
think
might.
that's when we'll get them. I think that's when we'll get Janine will probably be in the first act.
That's what I'm
And
thinking too.
yeah, Janine will be in the first act. We'll see some flashback stuff.
Maybe helping that family get
And
situated.
stuff and everything. But I don't think we'll see any of the other three until the third act. That's why
Right.
I think when the whole we're closed, that's when they finally find the number and they call. That's going to be third act stuff. You're going to say, if you're going to bring them in to help or to even advise, you're not going to bring them in the second act. Okay, bringing Janine in is how you start the bridge. And then you get to the third act, and that's when we get the classics, you know,
Saving
heroes.
the day,
Yeah.
saving the day. I love that song.
And that's where I think it's going to be. That's where I think how it's going to be. Janine is going to be that beginning of the bridge to bridge this gap between them. The rest of the first and second act are going to focus on the new characters. The third act is going to bring in the old characters, tie them in, pass the torch on to the new kid, pass the
Right.
torch. And if they do it right, that's how they should do it.
It'll be Cobra Kai status if they do it right.
Yes. Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we're all possibly thinking is going to happen. And I know we're all cautiously optimistic, and we should be. We absolutely should be.
Especially after that He-Man debacle.
Oh God, dude,
Something
I
strange
stayed out of
in the
all of
neighborhood.
I
Who you gonna
stayed out of
call?
all of that.
He-Man. Sorry.
I stayed out of all of that controversy. I was like, I'm just going to, and everybody was like, "You're going to be disappointed." I'm like,
I
okay, well,
I was ready to defend Kevin Smith because you know how I am.
yes, I know how you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. I was ready to defend him, and then when I saw what was going to happen, and then it actually happened, I was like, oh, can't defend this. Sorry.
No, dude, no, Jack. When I saw you posting disappointments like that, I was like, oh fuck me.
Yeah.
Because not only did I know, okay, I knew we were both He-Man fans, but whereas I'm not a Kevin Smith fan like you are, because you know I'm very selective on movies I like. I know you're a big Kevin Smith fan, and when I saw your reading your your Twitter posts,
You know,
and seeing that, I was like, oh
I
God,
mean, it's bad enough he let us on for like 6 months about the Clerks 3 visit, but then like to then get disappointed with the He-Man stuff is like that was a double gut punch.
yeah, crazy man.
Yeah.
But I think where it comes to we got Cobra Kai. I think this is going to be on level with continuing a movie franchise like you should. Unlike and yeah, we've had some bad shit, but Mortal Kombat comes to fucking mind.
Didn't even see it.
Don't just go watch my review. It's less
I
than
did.
10 minutes long
And
and it sucks.
yeah, no, I saw your review and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll watch it.
No, it's garbage.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing they did with, it was the same thing after He-Man. I know we're getting off the topic here, but hey, this is my live stream, so we can do whatever the fuck we want. The whole thing about that character, what the fuck was her name? Andre,
Adira, something like that.
yeah, whatever the fuck.
According to the Netflix description, it's Tila's partner.
Well, here's the thing I found out. I was watching the after it, I watched their little behind the stage thing, their little where they talked with the actors. So apparently the character she portrays was never in the TV show.
Oh
She
God.
was
Yeah. So
she was
I
a
feel like she
comic
didn't
book
watch it.
character one time in the comics, red hair, and I guess they just decided to do a swap and everything. And
I
then
feel
I
like she didn't
remember,
watch it.
and then I remember him saying, Kevin Smith saying, "You're their eyes into these characters." I was like, "What the fuck? Do you think we don't know?"
Well, that's like the Robert Meyer Burnett like retweeted this one tweet talking about the people who are complaining about Tila, don't realize that she was always a part. And I was like, no, actually, no, that's something I've said in defense of like the show, like before I saw the show. That yeah, there's of course there's going to be a prominent Tila in this because Tila was always prominent. She was no, I keep saying this. She's no damsel in distress. Especially if you watch the 2002 version, she literally says, "I'm no damsel in distress." So I mean, yeah, I've been, like I'll give Kevin Smith credit here. That one trailer, the first one, the "I Need a Hero" one, inspired me to rewatch the entire He-Man, from Filmation and from the 2002 series. So I'll give him credit there. It made me want to watch all that. I did buy some of the toys before I saw the show, but yeah. But now, like at this point, I feel like if I see a good trailer, instead of me being optimistic about what I'm seeing, I think I want to just go back and rewatch.
Do I have to? We're now having to start to read in to trailers the way we didn't used to, because we're like, is this really going to be good? We're questioning them.
Keep this in mind too. Remember, Marvel started doing this, and I'm pretty sure eventually more places will start doing it, and it's going to piss me off. But you know how Marvel will sometimes change a couple of scenes here and there in their trailers to make sure no spoilers. Like with Infinity War, you never saw Thanos with any of the Infinity gems in his gauntlet in the trailers, even though it's like scenes where it should be full. I was fine with that because that was a small spoiler type of thing, and I didn't mind that. But what pissed me off was the scene where you see all of them running in Wakanda, including the Hulk. You see the Hulk running with everybody in Wakanda. And
I knew you were going there.
Yeah. And I thought that was a bit too far. You know what I mean? Because that's a little too misleading, in my opinion. And I remember with J.J. Abrams saying that Khan was not going to be in Star Trek Into Darkness, and he was. I don't like it when people lie about what's in their movies. If you want to take out little things to avoid certain spoilers, sure, but don't add scenes that are never going to be in the movie. Or don't say that it's about one thing and it's something else.
Well, and yeah, you're right. And like I said, that's why we're cautiously optimistic. I mean, the trailer for me, in my opinion, and I'm gonna end it on this because I'm getting a little tired.
Okay.
Nah, I think we kind of hit this one pretty hard. I don't think we need to extend it too much further.
No worries.
But I mean, we're looking at it and we're kind of like, okay, but we've been screwed by trailers before. We're like, are we really going to take? Now, I think this has great potential. There seems to be a lot of enthusiasm. I've known people. I've talked to other people in the panel who, after watching this trailer, are saying this is going to be the first movie they're going to go see in theater in years. My wife, like I said, watched the trailer, now wants to watch the first two movies to get some context. So that tells me that this is going to have some cross-pollination, for lack of a better term.
I think so. I think this will appeal to both young and older viewers, like people who watched it when it first came out, as well as people who were like my kid who had nothing, she was born in 2003. I think she would like this movie. I'll wait to before I completely judge it like that. But from what I've seen from the trailer, I think she would like it too.
I think it's going to have the right balance. I
Hmm.
think it's going to have this balance of, you're going to have this family. And it looks like this might become, maybe in a way, this Ghostbuster franchise, if this goes successful, it's going to be kind of come a family franchise now,
I mean,
or
yeah,
something to that effect. Because you're looking at, I'm assuming that the lady who is Egon's daughter and um, Paul Rudd's character are going to be the romantic interest.
probably.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that's
because there's a scene where they're like having dinner or something, and he's talking about you're a good mom, or something like that. And I think that's him, like, putting moves on her or something.
yeah. I would not be surprised if that's the romantic interest, and if that is, and this is the and if this is where they're going in the future, might be something to see. We're gonna have to figure it out. But like I said, I'm seeing more enthusiasm for this movie than I've seen for anything in the last couple of years. Um, El Diente 797, how you doing, buddy?
Hello.
Nice to see you. We're going to be wrapping up in just a few minutes, but nice of you to join. We were talking, as you can tell, we're talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife, our
Ghostbusters.
thoughts, and the Ghostbusters 1 and 2, our thoughts on those, why 2016 failed. And, I mean, I think this seems to have the balance of, well, the effects look good too. They don't look over the top. They seem to kind of pay, I would say, almost a little bit of a Doctor Who kind of thing, a little homage with an update, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully, when the movie comes out, we'll do another stream like this about how happy we are about it, and how good it was. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, here's fingers crossed, buddy, because this is about the only movie I'm going. This is the only movie I'm going to see in theater this year. There's nothing else.
Yeah, I'm not.
Uh,
I don't see anything else either. I'm not really interested in a lot of the other stuff they're trying to put out there.
no, I'm not either. Next year, as of right now, the only movie I'm going to go see is Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah, that was filmed here. Some of that, a lot of that was filmed here in
Yeah,
San
that's
Diego.
going to be.
I have
That's
some
going to be.
spoilers, but I won't tell you if you don't want to hear.
No, I don't want to hear.
Okay,
I
maybe.
actually don't want to hear for that. But yeah, I mean, those are the only two movies right now. If something else comes out that really catches me, but
I still have interest in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness or whatever, and Spider Man's third movie. But other than that, eh.
I
Oh, and Guardians.
I thought Guardians wasn't coming out till 2022.
Oh, I don't know when it's coming out. The Thor: Love and Thunder thing. I don't know. I don't know. I
Oh,
might.
you know what? Hey,
I
let's
might
do
pirate it.
that.
Who knows?
Hey, I got a great idea. Before we close it up, how about this? Next week, let's talk about what's coming up on the MCU movie list. What we're excited about. Let's talk about those movies. What's
Okay.
coming up on the list? Let's do that, buddy. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, we'll talk about like what, 2 movies, 3 movies. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Have some fun with that. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming in, hanging out at the 10 Forward with my co host, Awesome Bud, Jack Beers. Check him out on Twitter. He also guest hosts on a lot of other shows. Jack, you got anything coming up?
Not too much, really. Not lately. Just the same old for now. Um, whenever the next Discovery or new Trek show comes on, I'll be on top of it, talking crap about it.
Yeah, I heard that Kurtzman got an extension.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. I guess they like the niche audience that they've created. And, they decided that they didn't need the the large audience that classic Trek had. They just wanted a small niche audience. So I mean, it is what it is.
Well, the problem is Star Trek's always been a niche audience.
Yeah, but
And
at least they had tens of hundreds, tens of millions of viewers and stuff like that. Whereas this stuff. I mean, I explained that before CBS All Access switched, they only had like 8 million subscribers, and not all of them were there for Star Trek. You know what I mean? Um, Meanwhile, you got Netflix and Disney Plus with hundreds of millions of subscribers, and it's kind of embarrassing, but they don't want to admit how embarrassing it is. They just keep trying to pretend that this is the most successful the franchise has ever been when it's not.
what was it? Was it you who said something out about that? And I said, I pulled up the 8 ball thing and said, the 8 ball meme and said, Outlook not good.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, I thought you saw that. But yeah, hey, you know what? They want to dig their own fucking grave. Let them do it. We can't stop them, but we can damn sure bitch about it, and we can damn sure defend what is real Star Trek. What is real Star? I think, and now take Disney. You got Disney Star Wars, but then you got Disney Marvel. You got to remember, folks, there are different tiers in these areas. They're not all operated by the same people. So what's going on in Disney Star Wars is not going on in Disney Marvel. So that lawsuit over at Disney Marvel has nothing to do with Star Wars Disney.
Unless
And
unless one of the actresses decides that they didn't get enough money in their contract, and maybe I don't know. We'll see. There's three. There's two other women who are trying to figure out whether or not they want to sue Disney over the
yeah,
Disney
I
Plus
saw it.
release. So I think that's going to be a big deal on its
I
own.
think it is too. But you know what? We could talk about that too one of these days because I think there's merit to both sides.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I'm gonna be honest, like I don't really care who wins this thing. You know what I mean? Like it's a millionaire suing $1 billion company for more millions, and it's like I don't care. Let them fight. But at the same time, I do like the idea of seeing Disney being knocked down a peg.
Well, I've seen some people say this will probably get settled out of court, and maybe one or two of them. But eventually, if this continues, which I think this is a trend that will, somebody's not going to want to settle out of court. They're going to take it to court because they are going to want the ruling and they're going to want the case precedents.
Right. That's yeah. So that's probably going to happen eventually.
Yeah, and that is eventually, I think, what's going to happen. All
So
right,
yeah.
like we said, Jack, we got a couple other things we should talk about. I'll catch you up on DM and on Twitter. Maybe we'll break the next week up into a few segments. Sounds
Okay.
like we got about 2 or 3 things we can
Definitely.
talk about. Blah. Can't talk worth a shit. All right, everyone. Peace, long life. We're out.